How are you?
Good. I'm still like it's like third day in Japan, so I've got slight jet lag, but it's only like couple of hours anyway, so it's not major one, but still
Yeah, no,
time difference feels a little weird here and there, but it's nothing compared to when I travel from UK to Asia. It's like 6 hours to 8 hours difference, then it's like night and day totally other way around. So
well,
ooh,
yeah.
I see a lot of stuff on the behind, Cyclamen stuff. Yay!
What are you in Japan for at the minute? Business or pleasure?
It's a holiday actually. I'm just helping out my sister because my sister is giving birth soon to us, and like no one really drives apart from my mother and me in my family. So like once they have kids, kind of it's been quite important that people like there are enough people to move things around or carry people in emergency and stuff.
Oh,
So like I'm really here when my sister gives birth because she's got two kids, but her husband doesn't drive and stuff. So like they could go in a taxi and stuff, but then kids will be left at home and stuff. So I'm just here to
helping
just
out.
help.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah.
Cool.
I mean, like at the moment, there's not much music stuff going on my end because I do like a lot of the like inviting artists to Japan, but at the moment, like no tourist is allowed unless you're in group tourist kind of thing, or like you have like or like if you're playing in a big festivals and stuff and really have a business plan, or like you kind of access through agents like a big event organizing agency, I think you can get the visa, but as a strictly as a business. But for the like smaller or event organizer like me, it's a bit hard, and it will almost coincide with when the tourists are allowed back in Japan again.
Right.
So until that, I'm kind of taking it easy. So instead of concentrating on like event organization or doing my band, I'm just working a lot on increasing my music skill, like singing skill or composing and stuff.
You didn't already have enough.
It's actually like really satisfying. Like I haven't had time to really, work on my skills since like the Cyclamen became a band. Then we started to do tours or like organizing events for the other artists. Like they've been the big priority, and it consumed a lot of my time. That like as a musician, I hadn't really had time to develop myself much in past 5 years maybe.
Right.
So like yeah, it's been like a really refreshing thing to actually focus on my musical skill rather than just doing the music business stuff.
That's great. Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah, it's good. Like I can really feel my voice is changing a lot. I'm a lot more in control of what I'm doing and stuff, and I can hear a lot more. It's like if you have an amp and if you had only like bass mid treble, and you suddenly get like a presence and deep and the master volume gain, like you have like 10 more knobs to play with my voice. And before I could only do this loud, like quieter, just hit the note kind of. And like everything was really intuitive, so I could put lots of emotion into it, but I didn't really know how to kind of adjust the fine differences, or like when you couldn't reach the note, how to like go about sounding okay without actually hurting your voice and stuff. Like things like very basic things like that, I didn't really have time to learn because I didn't start as a vocalist. I was a guitarist. Then I played the guitar. Then kind of Cyclamen got fairly big or like fairly known. And then became like a band. Then guitarists were there. So kind of then I started to kind of get the band together to kind of put the band's quality even between the band members, and the kind of because I had far more precise ear, like I could hear a lot more subtle difference or like things that weren't quite together. And also, like when in a band context, like vocalist is the easiest one to tell what's wrong with the instruments because you're not a part of instruments, you know.
Yeah.
So like I ended up like looking after these instruments together a lot, but that doesn't directly really benefit me as a vocalist to improve, you know. Like I learned a lot, obviously. I learned a lot how to put the bands together, what would be effective things to adjust or correct when the band dynamics is not quite right. But yeah, like so everything was to do with the management in past like 5 years maybe or so. But because of the COVID, like suddenly no band activities.
Yeah.
And like I'm in Thailand and the other members in Japan, that's even harder. But that kind of gave me just the only choice of improving myself, and kind of that gave me a lot of time to think about what I should do, or like what was lacking for myself as a vocalist or like as a band member. So it's been
That's
very
brilliant.
interesting. Yeah.
Look forward to future projects with your improved
Yeah,
voice.
hopefully. Like I'm now quite confident that my vocal has developed to the level where I'm quite happy with how it is, or I know how to use it as a tool rather than just being vocalist, you know. I mean, being vocal, I don't know like if it came out quite right, but basically like I know how to use my vocal as part of instruments rather than just being a vocalist in front of the band, you know.
Yeah. It's a funny one.
Yeah.
I've been in bands before where the vocalists are just starting up and you can see change. It's very slow. But I suppose it's like on a guitar or something, and then it's very slow progression. But yeah, it's a strange one to get better at, isn't it? So.
Yeah, it's like quite strange because I don't know, like more emotional you get, more tense you become normally. But the tensing is a bad thing for the voice. Like it makes it a lot harder to project your voice and stuff. So like you're forced to relax. Like that was quite different from the other instruments, like guitar, drums, bass, anything. Like harder you hit, it doesn't really matter. You just sound more aggressive. Like almost the harder the better, you know. But when it comes to the vocal, like relaxing is so important. Like if you become too tense, you damage your throat for screaming, or like it just doesn't project as nicely. And yeah, like so I think like first, like I've been taking vocal lesson for a year and a half now, I think, but it's like first year pretty much all the teacher told me to relax, like you don't have to tense your muscle as much. And like because that was so implanted in myself to kind of really go for it, like really push through, it was kind of a lot of readjustment to do for my vocals. But now like I can hit the notes much higher, much easier. But at the same time I feel like I'm too controlled of my voice as well, and like a lot of the emotion is kind of not getting through as much. So like I'm in like now I'm in a phase of adjusting how much of a, you know, technically correct way of singing and actually a way of singing so that your emotion gets through music. It's a very interesting dynamics that I never really had a time to properly face myself, think about this. So yeah, it's fun. It's fun.
Cool. Right, mate. So I want to talk a little bit about Cyclamen.
Sure.
You posted recently, and it spurred me on to go through your discography again. So I went through it all last week, and it's still amazing. It's been a few years.
Thank you.
No, it really is.
I appreciate it.
The musicianship still blows my mind. So my question for you is, what are your overall feelings towards the band, and what do you think your highest accomplishment is?
The band, the Cyclamen is not exactly the normal band where members come together and they share the responsibility and do things. It's been like me starting, then it's been me in the center, then other members kind of coming in to play their parts and chip in where they can. But kind of, I don't know, because I took so much into it, and also because I was the only one who could fluently speak English, and Cyclamen's activity was based a lot on the international ground as well. So kind of it became obviously like it became like really well, like everyone would say like it's my baby kind of thing, you know, like you put a lot of time, a lot of effort into it. But at the same time, because once I recruited the band members, it's not quite my own thing, it's not me only. But at the same time, so much responsibility lies on me as well. It's not because others don't want to take the responsibility, but it's just that there are things that only I can do, in a sense.
Yeah.
So, like I feel like it's my baby. At the same time, it's not entirely my baby.
Yeah.
So kind of, it's like weird. But I guess it's like a parenthood. But it's like if it's a parent, like there's mother and father, or you know, like a father, mother can be anything. But normally two parents.
Yeah.
But then we have like 4 parents, and one has a lot of more responsibility than others, kind of, in a way. Then so it's fun, but at the same time, like there are things one can do and one can't do, and you can't just put the responsibility of something they will struggle to do and stuff. So I've been trying to find a good balance, and I don't think I've still found a good balance. And it's been very difficult thing to do, actually. Like when it was a solo project, it was so much easier for me to just decide and do, and I kind of, because it's an easy way to escape to that route, just me taking everything in and just do everything myself.
Yeah.
But ideally, it's not really. Like I've recently read Mastodon, I think they were sharing all the profits from the songs evenly, like a songwriting credit evenly and stuff.
Yeah.
And like, like taking responsibility evenly, or just having certain responsibility assigned to one person in a band is a very healthy thing, I think, because like you have your place in the band, don't you?
Yeah.
But if like there's one main person just taking on, like doing almost everything, it's easy for that person to dismiss other person.
Yeah.
Because they are not doing, they feel like they're not doing much about it as much in the band. So kind of, I'd like to make it like, more even, but that's the ideal world. You can't just make it for the sake of evenness, like.
Yeah. No.
Sometimes things just like, because it's like a business as well, or you have to get something done as well. You can't just assign to a person and just wait till that person eventually does it, even though that person is not motivated to do it.
Yeah.
So it's been like one of the most difficult thing for me to kind of find a good balance that everyone can be happy, everyone feels they are taking responsibility, that everyone is part of the band, like they feel fully about it. So it's been forever my issue, but that's a challenge, and hopefully, kind of because of the COVID, I've been isolated from the rest of the band in a different country. That really gave me more reflecting time towards the band dynamics, and I don't know. I don't know how things will work out from now on, but hopefully, like it will eventually find a comfortable place.
Yeah.
And the biggest achievement, like because we haven't never really had record label or big help from other people, but still we went tour with Protest the Hero, or I organized the show even to invite the Ninja Escape Plan or Six, or the bands I like and they really enjoy, and everything is done with just me in the center, or like the band in the center, Cyclamen. And Cyclamen managed to do everything that we wanted to ourselves. Like no one helped, but who cares? We just do it anyway because we want to do. So so like I'm proud of the fact that I'm not relying on so much on other people, that I can actually I just do it myself, and I could actually do it, because like I don't know, it's so easy to say that, oh, I'm not in label, or I'm not have a connection, I don't have money, so I can't do this and I can't do that, and you just kind of be bitter about it. But that's just like, I mean, I understand it. It's hard.
Yeah.
Obviously, I haven't achieved everything I wanted to. Like say, invite Meshuga or System of Down or something like that. Like they're just way too high. Like I can't afford with the money I have to invite these people. I don't have real connection to make that happen. But at least for things that within my capability, or even with like above my capability, I could push myself through to achieve what I wanted to a level where I can be very proud of achieving. So it's a bit funny things to say, but I am very proud of achieving things I would be proud of if achieved. Yeah. And I could do that everything myself. So that's something I'm really proud of. Yeah.
Brilliant. So because you mentioned how Cyclamen centers around you, when it came to the recording process for the album, was it all you? Well, obviously, Senjai.
It depends on some releases, but like because we don't have that huge budget to go into studio or just move all the members to one country or other. Like a lot of the recordings are done by me, but for Amida, at least the last one, the drums are partially recorded with Hitoshi, our drummer. And but I think with the time scale or the hours we could afford in the studio to record drums, there weren't enough time to just record whole songs. So we came to kind of recording few songs and take his drum sample as well. So that would be actually his sound.
Right.
Then we actually put the drums from so like some of them are programmed, but actually used his sound.
Yeah.
To actually make it sound more like him. Some of them are his actual performance as well. Then also there are some that's just programmed as well. It depends on kind of what song called for. And that was Amida. Senju was totally programmed by me because it wasn't even this current member in Japan. I was in UK. Yeah, that's when still like Oli from Monuments were in Cyclamen, and now Between the Mata, the Boris, the drummer from Between the Mata, was helping for that Haunted Show split that's behind you.
Oh yeah. Haunted Show, yeah.
So that was really fun actually. Now think about it. So the member of Monument, like X Monument, and also the member of the Between the Mata and the Cyclamen are working together with 6 members to produce that split. So if my teenager myself thought about it, that's crazy. Like so many
blown away
cool members working together. Yeah. But it's always fun to look into reflect into the past.
Definitely.
And also these two musicians weren't really known at all. Like Cyclamen was the first step for them, as first place for them to really picked up in this a progressive metal scene as well. So that was fun to discover new talents who proved themselves to be extremely talented in the future.
So mate, you mentioned pushing your vocal abilities before. So when I was at the time, Amida, I was a little bit disappointed with Amida at the time because you stripped a lot of your heavier side away vocally. Well, I suppose even instrumentally. After listening back to it last weekend, I actually think there's a really natural progression through those albums, which when you hear it all in its entirety is brilliant. So I do appreciate it more now. But at the time when you were writing Amida, was it, as you were getting better as a vocalist, were you pushing towards a more post-rock sound rather than a tech metal sound, or was it just something that sort of happened as the years went on?
It's Senju, Amida, Senju, Ashura, Amida is 3 sets. Well, basically the name of the Japanese Buddha statues. And like they're actually trilogy series, so kind of I always meant to make 3 radically different ones. But for the Senju, I just didn't know if I would have motivation in the future to continue. So what I did was I just threw in every musical genre I liked. So that's why like Senju is so like up everywhere. It has some of the technical metal. It goes really down into the full post rock and stuff. But I like, so kind of I think that actually derailed a lot of the metal fans away. So maybe like in terms of becoming popular, it wasn't such a good decision. But I couldn't care less about it. Like because like Cyclamen's name comes from like hanakotoba, which means flower word, and flower represents certain meaning in Japan. So and like Cyclamen's interesting thing was that if you change the color, it changed the meaning of it. So red would like present like envy, but white will represent purity. Yellow would represent something else and stuff. And kind of at that time, like because I listened to music a lot, and I didn't listen just to one genre, like quite wide range, and especially to the post rock and tech metal was like two completely polarizing genre, but I really loved both of it. So kind of that was natural for me to just go between them. I didn't want to like restrict myself to just write one thing, just because kind of people like to label band with one genre, you know?
Yeah, no.
That's what happened in Senju. Then I was always going to produce really heavy album and really melodic album as well.
Right.
So then kind of because Cyclamen became more popular through the metal fans, kind of I thought Ashura was the like more kind of natural next step. So I just put everything technical I can think of, like lots of twin guitars that doesn't play the same thing on the right side and left side that really messes up your stereo hearing.
Yeah.
And kind of because like I think it's way too much information overload in terms of Ashura actually. I think like now people are used to more technical stuff, maybe people can appreciate that easier, but I think at the time even the band member was like wondering sometimes whether that's just too much to have different things all the time, right and left side. But I enjoyed it. So kind of then after done the metal stuff, then I wanted to do the melodic stuff, but then I knew my vocal wasn't strongest thing, so I needed more time as well. So like kind of made Senju, Ashura going heavy, then come back to more melodic stuff made kind of more natural sense really.
Right. It's funny you bring that up because one of the questions was actually going to be, so Ashura came out in 2013, I think, isn't it? Yeah, 2013, and then there was a huge gap between that and Amida, which came out in 2018, I think. So in between that, there's a load of EPs. Were they like sort of experiments for your vocals?
Not really. Like that's where I'm coming in about making the band. It just took so much energy and so much time out of it. Like I literally couldn't have time to really write songs basically, like especially at the time of when I was writing the Haunted Show Split. Like it was so easy for me to write. Like I was working full time as well, so Monday to Friday I would work, then Saturday morning I would do like washings and like clean the flat, then from Sunday afternoon to Sunday evening is like a song making session. Literally I would just write the instruments on Saturday and like a Sunday morning, then I record the vocals on the Sunday afternoon, and pretty much every weekend I made one song, and that was like my life for about a year.
Right.
I can make the songs very quickly, like as long as it's been organized well and I have a routine that kind of continues properly. But when it became band, like it took so much time out to put the band together, because like recording, like you can just do like 1,000 takes, and if one take sounds okay, it's fine. But when it comes to live recording, like you have to play well, like 99 times out of 100, and to get to that standard, like the effort you have to put in to get to that standard is so much more, especially for the technical metal stuff. You know, like it's a bit like circus. Like they want to see something weird, something that's not, people can't do it so easily.
Yeah.
But to be impressive, you have to get to the certain standard. And like none of the band members really were in a band before. Then they were really young. Like Katsunori, the guitarist, was 19 years old when he joined us. So kind of it became a lot about just getting them to the standard. I've seen the bands, like international bands, and I don't know, like, and you can't really expect people to improve at the pace where you do improve. Like some things they improve a lot faster than you do, and some things they don't. So sometimes like you misjudge, like they would pick that up quite quickly, then like sometimes they take a year or two to actually get to the level you want, or sometimes like you think like, oh, they're gonna take 5 years to really get to that, but then like they pick up in 2 months. Like you really don't know. And like I like the don't know, like interacting with a person isn't my strongest point, especially when it comes to the music, because I have such a strong opinion already formed into it, and I have like an ideal image of what I want the band to sound like, and I had to adopt to be able to communicate to 3 other people, and like they are all kind of different. Obviously they are different people, so they have different ways of thinking and different way of kind of not teaching, but letting them know what you want.
Yeah.
So kind of like even with the groove and stuff, because they've listened to all different music, like when I tell them I wanted groovy, it doesn't necessarily connect the way into the image that you are thinking groovy, you know, which is not a bad thing. Sometimes accidentally mixing things makes something special, but sometimes it just doesn't work, you know, like you can't put the milk and Marmite together, for example. I don't know, something really random, like sometimes putting 2 things works extremely well, sometimes it doesn't. So like it's been a lot of that and this and that, experimenting how to kind of interact with them would be the most effective thing to improve the band as a whole and stuff. But yeah, obviously, like human doesn't improve in a day as well, so kind of that's why it ended up I haven't been able to write something significant for that 5 years or something, like 13 to Amida. Like metal isn't as popular. Like in Japan, metalcore is really popular, but like a lot more simpler stuff with a lot of breakdown and the groove. That kind of stuff is popular, but technical metal isn't so popular. It's quite hard to get people who are willing to invest that much time into bands like Cyclamen. If Cyclamen was like 100 times more popular, maybe we could find like technical guitarists easier, but I think in terms of popularity versus how much effort you need to put to learn our material, it was kind of hard to find a person. So like I was already surprised the fact that someone who's capable would be in Japan, that I could form a band. So kind of that was like a minimal line, but that was kind of more than what I could expect for already. So when you start to think about how dynamics and how we are not on the same page in terms of musical taste and stuff, it's just like too much to ask for. You just have to work with what you have, don't you? So kind of I'm not really saying that they weren't capable to the standard I want. It really isn't. Like with just what I get, like you just have to work with what you get in your life, and you sometimes get lucky having extremely talented people who just think the same as you, but sometimes like fine adjustments are needed, and like just that takes time. And so Senju Ashura was mainly written by me, but like some ideas are actually from the other guitarists too, like here and there. Like there was one riff literally like we were like just in one like cottage in mountain, and like the guitarist randomly started to this riff and like started to write, and I thought, oh, that would be cool, but like if that was 3 times faster, that would be cool. So he said, I can't actually play this within 3 times faster. And that ended up in one of the songs in Ashura called Gashin Shotan. So yeah, I mean, there are inputs from them too, but like I was always one who put it together. But like kind of that's natural as well, because I didn't really give them freedom because the idea didn't feel Cyclamen to me enough that I couldn't really relate to what they were writing. Something like they were motivated to contributing to songwriting too. And like, I mean, there were good riffs or good ideas in their like style. It just I couldn't really focus on I couldn't really see it becoming a Cyclamen songs putting these ideas through sometimes.
Yeah.
So kind of like I think I was more adventurous. Probably it helped too, but I kind of don't know. I don't know, because it's been so long as my solo project as well when I got to the band stage, so kind of I was already a bit hard-headed. It became a lot better in past 5 years or so, but I think I just wasn't quite ready to become a band person at the time when the band actually formed, because it wasn't really never planned to be a band so quickly. So kind of that took that long 5 year, like a Ashura to Amida period, to really become a band that I feel like to kind of discover enough about what I can do with the band, really.
So you toured the UK in 2014. I don't remember that. Do you remember touring the UK in 2014? Yeah, I saw you at your Preston show.
Okay, the tours, okay, small tours, yeah.
It was.
Thank you.
It was one of the most energetic shows I've ever seen, and I don't think I've seen bands that energetic since either. It was like incredible to watch. So, do you prefer being in a live setting, or do you feel you're more in your element producing and recording music?
I'm like typical otaku in the end, so kind of I prefer at home really. My comfort, like as I told you, like before, like having routine really sets up my mental state and the productivity a lot up. Like when you're on tour, that goes whole out of window. Like nothing goes to plan, and everything is different every day. You can't have steady patterns and stuff. So it's hard. Like obviously, like meeting nice people or like having to play shows in front of people has certain amount of excitement and pleasure, but at the same time there is a lot of cost involved in actually doing the shows. Like if it was actually just doing show every day without sacrificing your daily life and being able to make a steady schedule to it, I'm totally fine with that. But especially at the level Cyclamen was doing the UK show, it was like so much work. Like driving was ourselves, like getting equipment, setting up every day, and also thinking like booking hotels, booking place to sleep, moving on to other renting a car and being worried about not scratching and stuff. I mean, like even renting a car can be stressful, especially thinking about which timing to return the car, or if you scratch then there's extra costs for damaging the car and stuff. I mean, it's a small things, but when you add like hundreds of small things, it becomes one big stress in the end,
Yeah.
So kind of like in overall thing, I would definitely prefer staying at home and producing. And also because like in the recording, you can produce your music and present it in a perfect way you have in your mind. But live show is impossible because the venues are different. They might have really shitty speakers, or they have really bad sound engineer, or the equipments are old or something. It just, the songs don't translate necessarily in the image you want them to. And like when you have like a sound engineer and you bring your own kids, it's kind of less so, like there is less variation to it, so you can have more steady sound of what you want. but that costs a lot more money. So kind of it was always kind of balance between, you know, the budget we could afford and actually the sound we want to get to.
Yeah.
And because moving from Japan to UK particularly costs money, like if you France to UK, the flight costs are less, so maybe you could spend more time, or like you could even bring your own equipment through the car. But from Japan to UK, it's not really possible, you know, like you can't just drive a car there. So kind of that restricts things, and kind of there was a huge gap between what I wanted it to sound like and what I could actually produce. So kind of that gap was something like always bothered me, but you just had to get on with what you have again. So kind of I still had fun restoring. It was a very, very good experience. And like I enjoyed meeting people, I enjoyed playing in front of people. It's just lots of work, like it was really tiring thing as well. Yeah.
Since we brought that up, we'll talk about how during the 10s you're insanely busy with Cyclamen, Withyouathome, your record label, Realising Media, and organising events in Japan. So how did you manage to find the time to do it all? Because it must have been extremely stressful. Like I know for a fact I couldn't handle something that strenuous. So how did you manage to balance it all without basically breaking yourself?
I think it's mostly, like I've done a lot. That's partially because I can't do the same thing for too long either. Like I'll just get bored, or like when I see the limit in things, like you know, like how learning curve is like that. So like at the beginning you grow a lot faster, then when it gets to the top bit, it gradually slows and kind of you feel like you're not improving, or you're not growing as a person as much, as a musician as much. And kind of I guess I enjoy learning the new things, that first like steep curve when your like knowledge and when your experience is like becoming a lot more than like opening up new world in front of you. It's like very rewarding experience. So kind of and like, so in a way, like if I didn't have the enjoyment for learning new things, I would have actually stuck to the traditional musician path a bit more, like not doing everything myself, and actually that might have benefited me more, trying to make a human connection towards people who can actually help me out. But I just liked learning new things, so kind of when there is no one kind of offering to do what I want to do, it was always just me. Yeah, okay, let's do it myself. It's faster. Like I can't wait. Like I'll just learn myself than putting things on. And also like I didn't have a huge work restraint. Like when I was working full time was the most like a restricted time. But then like financially I was well off because I had a steady income. So that bounced off anyway. So kind of, you know, I had only 2 days, Saturday and Sunday, but I could always work on Saturday and Sunday, and I didn't have to worry about the money. Like the very first song I made as a Cyclamen, no, not very first. I could say very first. Oh, basically one of the songs I made first was with Mikey from Six, Mikey Goodman from Six. And like obviously like kind of I paid him to do the vocals, but I wouldn't have been able to afford it so easy. Like obviously it's not a small money, but it's not like something you can't afford. But at the same time, if you're living really kind of to the limit, like you don't have much money to play with, tight budget, you obviously couldn't do that. But because I was working full time at that stage, I had kind of financially I was well off, so I could like if my idol from the high school time or like university time, like one of the band I listened to most, I could get the vocalist to sing in my song, obviously I would pay for that kind of. Then kind of once I moved to Asia, kind of I became just full-time, not like I didn't work full-time anymore as a like a web developer, which I was at that time. Then kind of I focused on the music. Then kind of that kind of became lots of options. I suddenly had 7 days a week to work on the music. So and like because like financially I was never like super poor, so I didn't have to worry about getting money. Then kind of living in Thailand helped too, because the living cost in Thailand is quite cheap, like maybe third of UK or Japan. So kind of unless you just spend money on something big like a expensive guitar or like a super high-end computer or something, it doesn't really cost you much. So moving to Thailand allowed me to focus onto the music things that didn't necessarily produce money, but at least like it's rewarding. So kind of then but the problem is that I'm not in UK anymore and I'm in Asia, so I don't really get to see or play the overseas band as much.
Yeah.
Then kind of it became natural process. Okay, I want to see the band. How can I see the band? I can't really go there, so let's invite them when they come here. So
it's a good way of getting around it, isn't it?
Yeah. I like the thing that really made me want is that when 60 the reunion, like because I really wanted to see them, but I couldn't really go to UK on my own like to see their show. So I just thought, okay, offer the Japanese show and see if they come, and they came. So that's the first show I ever did as a realizing media in Japan. Yeah. And like both shows, 2 small shows in Tokyo sold out, and that went really well, like well received, and that's why kind of I continued from there. But that was the first motivation. Literally, I just wanted to see Six play again, so just I invited them.
That's great.
Yeah, like everything I do is like that. Like I wanted to have certain things. Like I wanted to make a music video. I wanted to make a like cool artwork or something. When I couldn't find anyone who does it for me, I just learned and just did.
On your own, yeah.
Like thinking not much about like ahead of that. And like these 2 years actually I became more towards kind of myself like that. Before, like I don't know, once kind of Cyclamen started to be a band and do a tour and stuff, it became so much of a management and building an image or like keeping social network and stuff that kind of I didn't really realize myself till these 2 years in the COVID situation that I wasn't actually doing as much stuff I wanted to do. Kind of I was just doing what I had to do.
Yeah.
But kind of that was really damaging my motivation towards the music as well. Like, not actually towards music. I still enjoy the music. It just I wasn't as positively looking forward to make like a new music, or I wasn't enjoying writing music as much because I felt like I had to make a song so that band activities or like a Cyclamen kind of I can show people that Cyclamen is doing something, but is it really good motivation to write music? Just having to show people that hey, Cyclamen is still doing something. And kind of it got to the point, like these 2 years, but because like there wasn't much band activity and focus on my own skills, kind of I was doing things I just like to do. And then kind of I started to feel, oh yeah, like I used to do the music just because I like to do certain things,
Yeah.
And kind of so kind of I'm getting back to that position where I don't really care about what people think, so like how much popularity I get, how much plays you get. Kind of like it got to the stage where Cyclamen was finding hard to get more exposure anyway, so it kind of sounds like an excuse in a way too, but at the same time I'm at the same time I'm kind of feeling very comfortable to admit that, and like I'm now like more than ever happy to just release a song when it's made and like not worrying about whether like what time I should post. I should do like a pre-save or like advertisement before you release the songs and stuff. Obviously, if you enjoy huge exposure and having a dramatic release that a lot of bands do, and bands do well as well to get the popularity, that's okay. But thinking about that made me just not want to release a new song, because it's not what I write the song for. I want people to listen to the song, but it's not because I want to get the number going up or like thinking what would be the most effective things to do to expose your music. Like people just listen to the music if they liked it. If they don't want to listen to, I don't really care. Like because I just want to make the music for myself, you know.
Yeah, you recently posted on Facebook pretty much what you just said there. It was very thoughtful. Thoughtful post about why. But you're actually selling the ownership to your song. So what's the idea behind? That's quite a strange one. So what was your thought process for selling the ownership of your songs?
It's like just because like main problem I have with the current music model is that everything to do with the number, like. So CDs like your sale is counted as plays or how many CDs sold, how many tickets sold. It's just how many different people can be reached with your music. But like if you go to say art more, like say piece of Mona Lisa or piece of Picasso, like there is just one investor who really loves the artwork and they will pay huge amount of money. And kind of, it doesn't need to be liked by many people to actually see the value in the market, you know?
Yeah.
Like music is like that. Like a lot of musics are really great, but simply not made to be accessible to many people. And like these music not being able to be valued so well, I feel is a bit wrong anyway in the first place. I'm not saying the Cyclamen music is like that. Like I think I try to write catchy tune that a lot of people will like. So like my music doesn't necessarily reflect to this kind of music, but there should be a way for music to be valued even if it's something only very few people will appreciate.
Yeah.
And kind of the way of like selling ownership was closest to the like art model that I could think of. Like when you make a painting, you sell it to like you ask gallery to put, or like you sell it personally to someone with a big money, and that becomes like a buyer's investment as well. Like they could do with that money, like they could keep it as an investment, or they could kind of resell it and stuff, or they could do a lot of things with the things you bought. Then it becomes like, obviously some people buy just because they love their art as well, but at the same time they could do what they think is best for the art, and it's not up to the artist once it left the artist's hand. And like some people might feel their song being used for something they don't know is scary thing, but like with the mind I'm having recently, I just felt like it's so relieving, you know. You just make a song, you sell a song, and you don't have to worry about anything about the song in the future. Like that felt the most healthy creating process for me. And I mean, I don't even need to actually sell a song in, like, I have kind of, I can make a living out without the music being a main income. So that means like, you know, like I don't technically need to sell a song. I just sell a song because I feel they're value, they mean something. They should be valued something. But I don't actually care so much about how much and like how it's been sold. So I'm setting it with $500, but that's because like I can make about that much with a song in years. Like after streaming or making physical and selling that much, like on average, one song makes about that much easily, actually, like in like 5 years or something. But I just don't want to try to sell it and, you know, distribute it and ask people asking why don't you put this song on that and this, and like I just want to make a song, and like I don't want to, like, selling a song isn't something I particularly enjoyed. So like so like in the COVID situation, I was just valuing what aspect of music I actually enjoy and what aspect of music I don't like, and actually kind of killing motivation to continue music, then kind of like I was thinking about the best way of separating it, and like became quite clear that distribution or even making artwork to kind of fit people's taste was like thinking in what format like a vinyls kind of sell to people, or like say even cassette tapes and stuff like I don't know. I just don't have enough energy to think about what's trending or what kind of cool to put the music on. So I just wanted the music to be heard in the purest form possible without actually music becoming something else. It's quite difficult because since the Beatles, music has been always associated with culture and also the fashion and stuff as well. So like band image and the music is like you can't separate these two.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like music and fashion and culture has nothing to do with each other, you know, technically. Obviously music is part of the culture, but as in like trend, more like I guess culture isn't quite right, but trend. And kind of I don't really care about the trend either. I mean, obviously like it's a model that works, it makes it generate the money, so like people who are willing to work their way in that business model, it's totally fine. I don't have anything against it. I don't really have any objection with current music model that's rely purely on the numbers, like how many people you can approach. Even like, you know, Facebook page or even like Instagram, how many followers you have is the way of judging how popular you are or how valuable you are.
Yeah.
And like it's a easy way to measure the value. So it's one way as one way of valuing valuing music as an art. That's totally fine way of doing it. It's just that I think there are a lot more way of valuing music. And kind of people should have a choice, or like a creator should have a choice to sell their creation in a business model that suits their needs, you know. Like just because your music is not kind of not liked by many people, it shouldn't be a reason to kind of stop people from earning money less.
Yeah.
Like you could do it forever. Like if your music is easily kind of played in cafe, or like it's kind of enjoyable that you could play in a breakfast, you naturally play it every day. You know, like while you're making music and like making breakfast or lunch, you hear these music more. But then metal, probably you wouldn't hear that more. But does it really mean that kind of metal music is less valuable than these music because these music have functionality into it, like, or like wedding music or Christmas music? When it comes to Christmas songs are played a lot more. So does that mean people need to make Christmas songs just because people will play it more in Christmas so that you generate more money, you know?
Yeah.
And yeah, like if you think about like getting money from how many plays, there are so many things that's irrelevant to how good your art is that will kind of start to be a big factor towards how you can earn money, and kind of it derails a lot from what you are trying to make, you know. Like even like making catchy tune is a way of factor, and like because I enjoy catchy songs, it's fine with me. But like some of the band members don't really enjoy catchy songs as much. They would like to make a lot more kind of difficult to understand, but with those who have knowledge of this kind of genre, they would really enjoy.
Yeah.
So kind of, you know, like a lot more underground stuff, I guess. Like that's the easy way of putting the word. Kind of. So kind of, it's fine too, but kind of it's just not my thing sometimes. Or it's not gonna make money so well either. But then at the same time, it's their preference. And if kind of that music made just as much money as the catchy songs, or some songs that has an easy way of using it in your ordinary life, then kind of, you know, like at least the financial factor wouldn't be a reason not to write these songs, and kind of that will generate so much more option for musician or like any creator to make things they want or things they can actually challenge the current limit of the art.
Yeah.
So yeah, so kind of that's why like the ownership was like I like band members don't really kind of agree with my way of either, but because like kind of as I said, like it's so me focused, kind of I kind of just did it anyway, and kind of I think whether this will be a good idea or not, we wouldn't know. In financially, like actually, if I sold even like a song or two of the ownership per year, I would actually generate same amount. But this to be kind of accepted by people, that might take God knows how many years. You know, like there are actually a couple of people interested in buying the ownership already, but not really happened yet. But it's okay. Like you, like for the artists, especially like for painters and stuff, selling the first artwork is very difficult because kind of you have to find the investor convinced that they'll become famous. You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like this model doesn't really exist in. I mean, this model exists as a business, but not in the musical industry, like in the music industry.
Yeah.
So kind of, I don't know. Because I'm the one who can take the risk as well. Like as I told you, like I'm not financially dependent on actually music making money. Yeah. That means I can try anything I want to. Then kind of, as I said, I get bored quickly, and especially because I don't really agree with the current music model of generating money so much, that kind of I was happy to just risk myself and try to do it myself. And if it works well, like I can tell people, say that, you know, hey, this model works. If it doesn't, at least I tried, you know, to actually find another way of selling.
So you've released, you've released a handful of new tracks, which again I think you're selling the option to them as well, aren't you? So are you aiming to have? Is that the model going forward? Are you always so for the entirety of Cyclamen existence? Any album or song that you release, are you going to sell the ownership to those?
I think so at the moment anyway. Like you have to try this model for a few years. I mean, if it really doesn't work and I feel like I need the money from music again, then I might change back to the current model. I mean, if like your new business doesn't work, you just have to go back to the business you know it works, you know, or like the business model that exists. Like making a new business model is a big task or something, like a lot of cost will be required. Yeah. And it totally depends now whether I enjoy it or not, really. Like this year really made me clear more about what I enjoy and what I don't enjoy. And like I'm now a lot clearer mind of not doing things I don't enjoy anymore. So as long as I enjoy trying to sell them ownership of music to people, like well, at least more than the releasing songs on streams and stuff, I'll probably keep doing. I mean, like I don't know. It's just that I'm not really willing to spend a lot of my effort again for the management, like things that's not so related to creation of the music. I want to make music at the moment, especially with like my vocals massively increasing, massively improving. Like now there are lots of ideas I want to try, like whether my new voice will fit into this style of music and that style of music. And if I had to start thinking about making artworks, putting every song into Spotify, but then like putting thing every time on Spotify, like streaming sites through the distributor is a bit messy. Like you can't resort it so easily, and like there are too many things. Like each thing's maybe costs like 10 minutes, 20 minutes max. But when you have like hundreds of things to do, that becomes like whole day easily.
Yeah.
And with whole day, because like I know when I'm in the right mind, I can make a song in a day pretty much. like it's a lot of cost for me and like motivation as well. So it really depends on whether I can keep enjoying it, really. Like if I enjoy this state of mind a lot more than how I was before, which is more likely at the moment, then I just keep doing it. Then if it doesn't work and I become more miserable that I don't want to really make music because of this model I try to force, then I'll stop it. It's like you don't owe anyone. Like I didn't ask any investors to put money into it, so kind of like it's my freedom to stop or start anytime.
Yeah.
And this freedom seemed to be such an important thing for me to actually want to keep making music. So at the moment, like the bottom line is that I want to keep making music, and that's the most important thing. Like anything financial, anything like becoming popular or being able to play festival or anything. Like if you didn't want to make music anymore, you can't do that anyway.
Yeah.
So like no point getting to that stage without actually, keeping fun. Like your happiness isn't there, then what's the point of getting there?
Yeah, exactly.
That was another thing actually. There was one like a quite famous pop star I got to know in Thailand, but like he was so dry about the music. He wasn't actually so passionate about the music. He was just very business-like, and he would say just like this way would sell more, this way would kind of, but to him it was just a business, and he was quite happy with that. He's not like he writes a lot of the happy and like positive music, but he didn't even think he's particularly happy person either. Like
No.
music to him wasn't particularly happy thing, which is okay because it's a way of earning, and if he's popular and that earns money, why not he does that way? But at the same time, I felt that wasn't the way I wanted to face the music.
Right.
So yeah, kind of a lot of things here and there gradually made me to just try to focus on the fun towards the music. Then once I kind of regain the happiness of writing the music and making the music, releasing the music, then I can think about the business again, maybe.
Cool. Cool. So my last question is, what is the future of Cyclamen?
Cyclamen future, I don't know. I just make lots of songs this year. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Like even like now I'm in Japan and I'm planning to take a week or two off to the cottage in mountain where pretty much no one really no one disturbs me. Like I'm not even with my family or anything. I will be just on my own. Then like that's where I wrote Senju. And like I literally stayed pretty much 2 months without talking to anyone apart from the shop person at the till in the supermarket. That was like only conversation I had every day for like 2 months. But that was one of the most rewarding time for me. Like it was most memorable and enjoyable time in terms of actually making music, because every day I thought only about the music. And like I just did anything I want without worrying about me. Like band members are great. I really love them. I know I'm aware that I sound a little negative towards the band members in this interview, but I really don't mean that. Like I love them, but at the same time they're different people. Even my wife is different person to me. Like they have different opinion. So kind of with their presence, there are things that I will compromise just because they are there, Like even if I try to focus to be myself and just create what I want, if they are there, just being there, like that would affect it. Like maybe if they look sleepy, I will stop making music so that they can sleep better and stuff, or like I'll wait till they wake up so that I don't have to make it. But like small things like that can really affect it. Like you want to make a sound when you want to, and like when you have idea you want to straight get down to it. So kind of this time is actually really getting back to the beginning of Cyclamen and actually rethinking about how I want to make music in the future.
Yeah.
So what I would do from the future is totally up to how I feel with this holiday this time. Like I'm in Japan and making music. But one thing for sure is that there are lots of things I want to experiment at the moment with all the new tools, including my voice I have in my hand. So there will be lots of music, whether they are good or not, or whether there will be what kind of style of music. I have no idea. It just depends on what I feel like at the time. But my aim for this year is totally purely just enjoying music, enjoying making music, and everything else is just byproduct if they come. Really.
That's great. No, I'm really no pressure, but I'm really looking forward to what you come up with if you do come up with anything. Because I do think
only thing I'm not really only thing I'm still thinking is that like because album is made in a traditional business model, like I'm not really sure making an album makes any sense with the ownership model, because you just sell songs and like you don't really like artists don't really sell the series. Like sometimes they do actually, like a 3 paintings together as a one set, but that's fairly like a rare way of doing it. So like if I write like 3 songs that had to be hard together, then I might make that. But at the moment, like I don't know, especially because I want to experiment with many styles. I think first, before making anything together like as an album sort of style, I think I'll be making lots of singles, because I just wanted to try this and that and what works and what kind of makes it. Like even if you bought a new guitar first, you have to try to play certain songs or certain like until you get the character of the guitar, that kind of what kind of mood or what kind of sound it generates, then you can focus on making it to actually sound like how you want it. So
great stuff. Well, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Actually, this was very good way of reflecting to myself as well. So thank you so much for giving this opportunity.